5:31 PI Pacific Mornings with Aggie.
Not yet in Māori, and welcome back to Pacific Mornings with Aggie here on 5:31 PI. I was sitting at 13 minutes past 8 o'clock. Now, this morning we did have the privilege of having the Minister of Pacific Peoples, Alpita William Seal, join us to open the space for Rotuman Language Week. But now we're joined by our very own PMN's Rotuman Language co-host. It is Jioji Vai. So with that, I say whaiksia and welcome to the show this morning.
Oh, Noia in Māori, happy Rotuman Language Week, and also to Pacific Mornings, Aggie and the team. Thanks so much for having me in this morning. It's truly an honour and a privilege.
Yeah, absolute privilege, of course, to have you on our show this morning, Georgie. I would love to just maybe start on the premise of really, it is your culture, and I feel like if you could share a little bit about where you hail from, because, we often try and ask what's the villages that you represent, and, I suppose how proud you are to be from Rotuma.
Yeah, well, Noia i Māori o Toasili Jioji Vai. O te uhunta, you had Rotuam, so you had near Mutusa, which is a place in Rotuma, Oinafa, and Nuato. So there's three parts in Rotuma, and it's a little small island that my mother hails from. My father, he is Tongan, so I do share some love for some of our MMT fans out there. But yes, I was raised and born here in New Zealand, and yeah, I'm a sibling. Oh gosh, I have siblings, and there's five of us. Look at me, I have to think about this. There is five of us here in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Wow. Georgie, again, this is the first Pacific language that we get to celebrate at the beginning of, all our language weeks. How are you, and how do you usually sort of celebrate Rotuma Language Week?
Yeah, well, gosh, each year presents its own different themes and such. And, being a part of Language Week and having to host with the community, that's kind of how I celebrate it. It's the way I celebrate Language Week is I'm helping to promote the language and the culture across the nation, but also to those in the diaspora overseas and such. But look, if it was me at home, it's just a lot of food, and because Rotuma Day does also fall within the Language Week too. So it's a celebration of many different things. You'd be singing, you'd be reading, just learning as much of the language and culture during the week.
I love that. If you are tuning in, we are speaking with Jioji Vai as we celebrate Rotuman Language Week. There's something that I briefly learned from producer Levi. Is it true that Rotuma doesn't have a flag though? Like, do you know why? Or is there something that, you could sort of maybe elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, well, before I proceed, I better just, let our viewers know that I'm no expert, but I do know that our flag, we use the Fiji flag, and that's because we are a Fijian dependency. So Rotuma Day always falls on the 13th of May, and in 1881, we ceded to Great Britain, and we became a Fijian dependency. So there is a flag that you'll see that's online, which is maroon and yellow. That was done by a particular clan in Rotuma, and that was just hoping, to push for independency for our island. So that didn't last long, but people see it and are promoting it everywhere. But in reality, we actually fall under Fiji and are administered by them. So we do use the Fiji flag as our flag.
That's good to know. I think, as we celebrate the Pacific languages, of course, is there anything, though, that you specific, is there something that we could know about Rotuma that no one would ever know? We did have a bit of a fun fact this morning in regards to how you're situated and you're part of Fiji. But if there was something that you're like, this clearly states that we are Rotuman, what would be that thing?
Oh gosh, there could be many things I say about Rotuma, and whether it's of interest to many. But look, I guess because the island is so isolated, despite being part of Fiji, but it's one of the most untouched islands in the Pacific, and I won't say we're the only one because I'm sure there's a few others. So it's not like it's open to tourism. We don't have hotels, we don't have the fast food chain, guys. We're very slim people there. But also, we, internet, electricity, stuff like that. It's like we're living back in the 1900s where power was, it'll turn off at a certain time. Internet is hard to access, so communication on the island, you can't really get in touch with people. For most of us Rotuman people, trying to contact our family is very hard. Yeah, gosh, there's so many different things, but I think the language in itself, and I'm no expert in the language, I'm still on this journey of learning the language. But I understand it, thank heavens, just in case anyone tries to speak about me, at least I've got that locked in. But, the language in itself, there's so much macrons, there's consonants, glottal stops, and we have, gosh, I think there's almost 29 ways of saying the vowels. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know our producer will, but the letter A in itself, we all say A, E, I, O, U. But the letter A in itself, if it has just an apostrophe on the right or the left, or there's a dot above or below, it can change the entire way you say the letter A. So hopefully there was something interesting for you.
No, that's absolutely, Jioji, because again, with us having to learn even just the what the theme was this year, I thought, my goodness, I don't want to murder that. And, because obviously it's talking about the sustainability of your guys. So are you able to actually say that in its fullness so that we can actually hear what it sounds like?
Yeah. With my Kiwi accent, I'll let you know what it sounds like, but it is a Vetakia Osfenga Ma'an Whakanua. So sustaining our language and culture.
I love that, and the fact that I'm not even going to try to repeat that because you said it beautifully, but it's great to know. I love that you said that, because then we can actually go away and try and practice it. Look, now while you're here, Jioji, I know that you were actually part of our Te Rito initiative, right, where we've got a whole bunch of new journalists who are coming through or trying to learn that field. What's it been like for you so far, the journey?
Oh, look, the journey, it's definitely something new. Being part of the PMN platform in itself was just a whole new thing for me. And then joining Te Rito, it kind of stemmed off it, and as someone who was out there in our communities promoting Rotuma, I thought it'll be best if I went into journalism to keep continuing to advocate not only for Rotumans, but also for those smaller Pacific Islands too, who have, who struggle to have their voices and have to, kind of put that extra push into trying to be like, hey, we're also here, part of the Pacific. So, being part of the voice, but I've always been fascinated in, growing up, I used to watch a current affairs show, I'll say in the morning, I won't mention, but, I used to love watching it, and I used to try and practice what they'd say. And so for me, it was about telling our diverse stories, and having balance in some of our stories that are out there, because at the moment it's very Western, and when they wish to get our Pacific lens on it, I feel like we at times can be used and abused when they feel like it, and that's just my honest truth. That's just from my personal view. But sometimes I feel like people use and abuse our knowledge holders, and so for me to go in, it's just making sure that there is somewhat of a balance in our stories, or tell stories, national stories that from a Pacific lens and a Pacific view. What does that mean for our Pacific people? But look, the cadets, I'm telling you, they are amazing. I'm excited about the future of our of journalism here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And these guys have so much pride and mana for their culture. And, we've got people who are disabled, Māori, Pacifica, Asians, who are part of this, and the trainers there. And, PMN's part of it. So, I can say that as part of, PMN, News Hub, Māori Television, NZME, it's just a great opportunity in itself.
Love it. Look, Jioji, I don't want to leave without you actually saying some sort of word of encouragement. Of course, to those who may be listening in who are of Rotuman heritage, and who are on that journey of even trying to reclaim back their language and whatnot. So would love to just get some final words from you. What's your encouragement for the community today?
Yeah, whaiakse Aggie. Look, for anyone who's listening at the moment or who will tune in back, I think for me, as I'm on a journey and learning the language, I just encourage all our Pacifica, especially our young generations, to practice, to learn your language. If you have so much pride for who you are, as for whatever Pacific ethnicity you are, and you're a bit whakamau, just a bit shy or whatever, don't let others around you bring you down and having to build your own cultural identity. It is all about your own personal growth. In the end of the day, I grew up in a time where there weren't many opportunities to see or hear your language and culture around in the public. And now we get these opportunities such as Pacific Language Weeks, this series, to embrace and learn, and you hear it on radio, you hear it on our network. So I guess just be proud, learn, practice, and value your knowledge holders and cultural knowledge holders, in your communities. Because once they've gone, we start losing slowly our language and culture. So, just value them, treasure them, ask questions, and be proud of who you are.
Love it. Jioji, thank you so much for your time this morning. Always great to catch up with you. And of course, we look forward to celebrating the rest of the week and obviously embracing your culture. So thank you again.
We